So yeah, pretty straightforward. So yeah, best thing to really do is kind of show it in action a bit, so I'll just jump into a duty. So here we are in a duty. So the first thing I always do when I'm in a duty is tap down twice and click onto my healer, my tank, sorry. So the best way to target your allies if you're a healer is using the up and down keys. As you can see, if I hit up or down, I can cycle through my 4 companions, or rather my 3 companions and myself, fairly easily, right? If I cycle through them up and down and I hit X on anyone that I'm highlighted, I will hotlock onto that person, as I explained kind of before. So while I'm hotlocked onto me though, I can soft lock through everyone by going up and down, and then by just hitting skill action. So for example, just my basic heal is R2 and X. I will heal them one time, but it will then lock straight back onto me. So it's quite good if you're always hotlocked onto the tank and you want to just randomly heal one person, but then heal the tank straight after them. It will then heal them again, like that. Okay, fairly easy peasy. So outside of that, the first way that you could target, if it's not too overwhelming here, for example, you can see this jellyfish chasing this guy. If I was to hit left, because it's on the left side of the guy, I will soft target the jellyfish. So what I can do is I can then double tap my R2 and hit circle to apply some damage to that enemy, and I'm still hot locked to the tank. This is kind of fine in like kind of early dungeons and not a lot of enemies. See, I can cycle through these enemies using left or right, but it will also highlight companions and stuff if they happen to be in the kind of fray. So it's not completely ideal once you start getting overwhelmed. Another way you can do this, if you want to start fast targeting things, you can fast hotlock people, by holding the action, like the shoulder button of the action that you're wanting to use. So, for example, I want to do some damage here. Hold on, just make sure I don't kill this tank. I want to do some damage here, so I'm going to double tap my R2 and then hit L1. And as you can see, if I hit L1, I can cycle through everybody, and I can cycle back through them. As you can see on the bottom side here, that you get the aggro bar, or like the amount of enemies that you're currently fighting on the middle left. So as this guy, I'll go and aggro these guys will start showing up shortly, and I can cycle through these guys, and I could just apply damage. Because once they're hot locked, you can change to the things fairly easily. Yeah, sorry if that didn't make much sense, but anyway, so that's pretty much the basics of targeting. Obviously, if this is the kind of route you're going down, because healer, that's kind of what you're doing. It's probably the most complex targeting that you're going to have to do in this game. But up and down are your best pals, really. If you want to focus primarily on healing, that's kind of all you need to know. Just make sure that if you want to heal someone multiple times, that you hotlock them, so you can spam the heal. Or if you just want to heal someone a one-off, just do it down and then your R2 and X or whatever hotbar place you've allotted your healing to. And that's that, I think. While we're in the duty, other cool things to take note of is things like loot. Loot will always come up on the right hand side. Again, my UI is a bit gubbed just now, but if you can cycle through and highlight loot, it'll come up and you can decide how you want to roll for things. Oh. The other thing to note is the limit break bar, which is in the top left. As you can see, it probably won't fill up until the end of this. Even if it does fill up, we probably won't use it till the end of the duty. General rule of thumb for most things, the limit break bar is for the DPS, because obviously if a DPS uses limit, they will just do a lot of damage. For more advanced things like in other duties and trials, you may see the tank or the healer using the limit break bar. If the tank uses it, everyone gets like a defense buff, and if the healer uses it, I think it's a massive heal and res. I'm not 100% sure, I've never actually used it. It's also worth noting that the limit break bar is actually shared across all 4 party members as well, so just be aware of that. That if you do use a limit, no one else can use it after you've used it. It will regen over time, and it takes a while. So the next thing I was going to talk about was inventory. So as you notice, there's like a little thing behind my chat box that I don't really use. Some people do use it, so I'll move this out the road just now so you can have a gander. Is the kind of inventory hotbar. You can like click on this and it'll open a page of your inventory that you want to have a look at, or you can open your character by hitting the little green dots, because those little green dots represent what you have equipped. So anyway, not a big fan. You can obviously move that around in the HUD layout thing if you wish. The way I prefer to do it is, oh hold on, move this back. So the way I normally access my character and my inventory menus is just go into options, because it's on the first line. Every time you open it up, it's always there. So just go to character, it's there, or you've got inventory and that's there as well. You can cycle through your inventory pages with L1 R1, easy peasy, and then close with circle. Going into character, looking at gear sets. So if you end up with more than one job or class, which you probably will at some point eventually, the standard way of moving is just by changing whatever weapon that class would use, just changing your main hand, and it will automatically change you to that class. Obviously it'll just change you to that class. It'll change your hotbar, as you can see down the bottom behind all the menus, but it will not equip anything that the character can have. Of course you can equip random things to them. For example, I'll equip this, and I'll also equip these because I can use them, and then I could save that as a gear set by pressing triangle. So, that'll reassign a current gear set, sorry. So, to try that again, if you equip random things, you can go to your gear set lists, and if you go to the top, you can create a new gear set. If I do that, it'll create it down the bottom there, and it's created it for machinist because I've equipped the gun, and then it will save those items to that gear set. So it means I can go into this menu and I can select any one of these here, and these are all the preset gear sets that I have made for each class. So if I wanted to go my tank, I can hit that and then equip that, and it will equip all my tank gear. Or if I want to go to my trades or my miner, my symbols of land, I can go to my mining gear, and so on. There's also the feature that if you're not quite sure about what you should be wearing on a character, but you just want to wear the best shit, because your inventory and armory chest can become overwhelmed, if you just go to recommended gear, it'll tell you what gear you should wear, and you can just hit equip, and it'll do it for you. Easy peasy. And then after doing that, you can hit triangle, and it will assign that gear to the gear slot that you have created for that character. So I'm just going to delete that one because it's essentially going to be a duplicate for me. There we go. Last thing I mentioned is just, as I spoke about gear sets, if you go into your armory chest, so obviously armory chest, anything with a little bit of paper on the bottom right means it's attached to the gear set. Normally, unless you've crafted something, if it's armor or anything or weapons that you've bought, it'll typically go into your armory chest unless your armory chest is full. Like mine here, weapons will go into my inventory, but if you're wondering where things go when you purchase them or get them from anywhere, there are armor or weapons that will go straight into your armory chest.